Welcome back, everyone. Now, in this video, we're going to be creating the blockout. I have gone ahead and I've downloaded reference images from Pinterest and from Google Images. So I'm going to use these reference images as a guide to create my own classroom. And one other thing I've done is that I've gone ahead and asked ChatGPT for the dimensions of most of the classroom features here. You see, we have the main classroom itself. The dimensions are here: the windows, the doors, the bookshelf, the desks, and all that. Okay, normally what I would do is that I will import a scale reference. Okay, go to Unreal Engine, export the mannequin, and import it here and use it as a scale reference. But now that I have accurate dimensions already, that might not be necessary. Okay, so what I just want to do is that I want to add in a cube. Okay, and in edit mode, I'm going to move my cube up by 1 meter. I'm on the front orthographic now, and I also go to the top orthographic and I move it this way. I want this edge here, or rather this vertex here, to be at the same position as the origin, so that whenever I scale, it's going to scale from that point there. Now I know that the width of my classroom is 6 meters, length is 9 meters, and height is 3 meters. I'm just going to impute it here. Now the x is the width, right? And this is 6 meters, so 6. The length is 9 meters. And the height is 3 meters. Now, this is the size of my classroom. Everything is going to be contained inside this shape here. So I'm just going to apply the scale with Ctrl A, apply scale. Please always apply your scale whenever you adjust the scale of your objects in object mode, okay? But yeah, so the next thing I want to do is that I want to change the viewport display mode to wireframe. So I just come to my object properties here, go down to where it says viewport display, and I will display it as wire. Another thing I want to do is that I want to disable the selection. Okay, so I don't want to be able to select this thing, okay, because I'm just using this as a guide. All right, so here I'm going to click on this option, this little funnel option here, the selectable icon here, and I'm going to make sure I uncheck it. So now I can't select it, it's just there as a guide. So the next thing I want to do is to create the walls, and I have to mention that the workflow we're going to use is the modular workflow, and modular workflow is just simply us creating individual reusable assets, okay, that are called modules. Okay, so these assets are going to be combined together like building blocks. So instead of creating just one complete wall here, we're going to create just a tiny wall that will duplicate many times. So this is how we'll do it. Now for our walls, when you look at your reference images, you'd see that I have the wall that is the plain wall. Okay, just the plain wall like that. Now I have another wall that contains the door. Okay, and here you see I have walls that contains the windows. Okay, so I'm going to create at least 3 walls here. One is going to be the plain wall. One is going to be the wall that contains the door. The last one is going to be the wall that contains the window. And if I have to add more later on, I will add. But now what I want to do is that I just want to add in a cube like I've done. I'm going to move it up 1 meter rather. Okay. And my top photographic also, I think I also move it by 1 meter on the Y and on the X axis as well. Okay. Because I want the origin point to be at the corner here, just like I did to this one. Now for our walls, okay, you see, since the length is 9 meters and the width is 6 meters and the height is 3 meters, if you realize we're working in multiples of 3, okay, so if I have a wall that is 3 meter by 3 meter, okay, that means I will need to duplicate this wall 3 times on the x-axis to give me a length of 9 meters, right? And for the width, I just duplicate it twice. Okay, the height is already 3 meters, so I don't have to do anything for that one. Now I change my length, that's my x-axis in this case, to 3 meters, and the height to 3 meters. Okay, and the thickness, I can make the thickness maybe 0.2. Yeah, 0.2 would do. Okay, this is it. Now we have a modular wall here. That's just the plain wall. So I'm going to duplicate this, Shift D, X, and maybe repeat the process by hitting Shift R. Okay, so if you do anything and hit Shift R, it's just going to repeat that process. Yeah, so let's say this is going to be our wall underscore plane. Okay, now this is the wall that contains the door. So wall underscore door. Okay, it's always good to name your assets as you work. Okay, now this wall underscore window. Exactly. Now let's look at the size of the door and the window. Okay, let's start with the window. The thickness, not necessary now. The width is 2 meters and the height is 1.5 meter. Okay, so okay, this is the door, this is the window. Now I'm just going to add 2 edge loops here. Now remember that the length of this is 3 meters, right? So if this is 3 meters, now this is divided into 3 equal parts. So this is 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter. Scale this 2 edges by 2, SX2. Exactly. Now this should be 0.5 meter, 0.5 meter, and 2 meters here, which is the width of the window. Now the height is 1.5 meter. So Still gonna add two edge loops. Okay, now this is 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter. So this, I'm just gonna move it up. GZ 0.5 exactly. So this is 0.5. This is 1. This is 1.5. That's it. Now I just delete these faces here, and I just fill in this hole here exactly. Now this is the wall that contains the window. So I'm going to do pretty much the same thing for the door. Okay, and the door, the thickness, leave it for now. The width 1 meter, the height 2.1 meters. Okay, so the width, I'm just going to add two edge loops. Okay, and automatically this this is 1 meter already, because this is 1 1 1. Now the height 2.1. We're going to add an edge loop. Yeah, exactly. Just place it here. And this is 2.1 meters. Okay, because this, okay, from the base to this thicker grid here is 1. From here to the other thicker grid is 2. And this is just one more grid, that's 2.1. Yeah, so I'm going to delete the faces here as well. X, delete the faces, and I fill it up. F, F, F. Now, if F doesn't work for you, you have to enable an add-on, edit, preference. Add-on is called F2. Okay, you just have to enable F2 and it will work. So now I'm just going to find a way to arrange these buildings around. Okay, if this is the front of my class, then I want the windows to be at the side, because most of the buildings I see, okay, for example, this, you see the windows are on this side, and this also, the windows are on this side. So my wall with window, this is going to be at this side. The wall with door is going to be here, and every other place, just the plain wall. Okay, so I'm going to pick this and I'm going to move it in place. Good. Now I rotate it. Yeah. Now I duplicate it. Shift D, Y, 3 meters, because it's 3 meters long. And I repeat the process with Shift R. Now this is the plain wall. I just move it in place. G, Y here. And duplicate it. Shift D, X, 3. Exactly. Now this is the wall with door. I just move it in place and rotate it. Note that I'm snapping. Okay. I'm snapping. I just hit Control to snap. So I don't just move. I snap with Control. Exactly. Now I snap it in place and I rotate it. Exactly. Now every other wall is going to be a plain wall. So I just duplicate the plain wall, Shift D, and I just snap it in place, rotate it, Shift D, Y, 3, oh, that's going to be -3. I'm going to repeat the process, rotate it, and Shift D, X. And just like that, we've gotten at least our walls, right? Everything looks good. Now for the door, I'm just going to move it close to the walls at the front here in edit mode. So in edit mode, I'm going to select just this group of vertices and move it GY by maybe 0.5 meters. Exactly. It looks good to me like this. Now let's go ahead and create our floors, right? So to do that, I'm going to add a plane. So I'm going to Shift A. I'm going to add a plane, and I'll do pretty much the same thing in edit mode. I just move and snap to that vertex aligned with the origin point. Now our wall is 2 by 2 meters, and that's not bad. But you realize that we are working in multiples of 3. Our walls are 3 meters long. Okay, so this is 9 meters, this is 6 meters. So it will make more sense for me to change the dimensions to 3 by 3. Okay, now I apply the scale as well. Okay, so it's easier to work that way. Now I know I can just duplicate it, position it here, and it fits perfectly. And I do the same thing, Shift D, Y, and I repeat the process. Now it fits perfectly, just like that. I have my floors, easy. Okay, good. Even think I didn't name this here. I can just name this floor, and don't worry about the others, because we are just creating the blockout. We're actually going to delete all these ones later on. Now the next thing I want to do is the bookshelf. Now to do the bookshelf, I can just duplicate the mesh from here, and I hit F2 to rename it, and I call this one bookshelf. Yeah, this is the bookshelf. Now what's the dimension of the bookshelf? The length is 1 meter, the width is 0.4 meter, and the height is 2 meter. So the length be the x-axis in this case. 1 meter, the width is 0.4, and the height is 2 meters. Exactly. I'm going to apply the scale as well. So this is going to be the size of our bookshelf. Okay. Now this, I can just place it here nicely, or maybe closer to the wall. Now I'm going to duplicate this and move it on the x-axis. I'm going to call it Blackboard. Good. Now give it the accurate dimensions of the blackboard. The thickness 0.05 meter, the width 2.5 meter, and the height 1.5 meter. So the width is the x-axis, and that's 2.5 meters, the height 1.5 meters, and the thickness 0.05 meters. Exactly. Now just put it in place as well. Okay, just position it nicely. Exactly. This is it. And just move it up. Yeah, maybe here. This looks good. Now I duplicate this, Shift D, X. Now this is going to be the smaller bulletin board or notice board. And for this, the only thing that's going to change is the width. The width is going to be 1.5 meter. So from 2.5, just change it to 1.5. Exactly. Control A and apply the scale. Now I move this closer. Yeah, here. And I call this bulletin I like to use underscore board. Yeah, I just like to use underscore. Yeah, that's it. I think I'm good with that. Okay. The other thing we need to do. Okay, we're done with the bulletin board. We're done with the blackboard. We haven't done the desk and the chair. We're done with the bookshelf, the door, the window, and the classroom. Good. So we only have the desks and the chairs left. Now let me start with the student's desk. So for the student's desk, I will duplicate the shelf, the book, yeah, the bookshelf as well. Shift D, just place it here and call it desk underscore student. Now, here the desk, our length 0.6, our width 0.45, our height 0.8. So our length x-axis 0.6. What was our width? 0.45. So just add the 5 here. And what was our height? I think 0.8. Yeah, 0.8. Good. Now this is the average size of a classroom desk, right? Apply the scale as well. I hope I applied the scale here. Oh, I didn't. Control A, apply the scale. Yeah, okay. Now for this, I'm going to duplicate this, Shift DY, and call it chair, maybe underscore student. Now, okay, for the chair, you see that we have the seat height. We have the regular height, that's the overall height of the chair, height of the seat, the width and the length. So our width and length is 0.4, 0.4. So 0.4. By the way, what I just did is that, you see, I have two different dimensions table. As soon as I click on one and drag down, it's going to let me change the two at once. So 0.4, okay? And our seat height is 0.45. 0.45, exactly. This is it. Now Control A, apply the scale. Now, our seat height is 0.45, but the overall height of the seat is 0.9. What's 0.45 times 2? It's going to be 0.9, okay? So what I'll do is that I'll just add an edge loop here and select this face. I'm going to extrude it by a value of what? 0.45. Exactly. Now the overall height becomes 0.9. As easy as that. Now for this, yes, even though it's a block out, I want it to look more like a desk, right? So I'm just going to add in some edge loops. Control B and select the faces that are here. Delete the faces and I fill them FFF. Yeah. Now this looks more like a desk, right? And the seat can be positioned nicely in here, okay? So I don't think I mentioned it from the beginning, but you see, the blockout is really important, okay, because it helps us to, test our scale, our proportions. It helps us to also plan our layouts and do certain iterations. So in this case, I created this blockout because I want to plan my layout, okay? And in case you don't know what a blockout is just a simplified version of our 3D models, okay? Look, I'm going to go ahead and model desk on and the chair like this and every other thing here, okay? But these are just simplified versions that we use for the purpose I just mentioned. Now I have my desk, I have this really big classroom. Oh, I think there's one thing I didn't do, and that's the teacher's desk. So let me quickly do that before I continue. So I'm going to duplicate this again, Shift D. And for this, I'll call it desk underscore teacher. Good. Now for this, the dimensions, the length 1.5, width 0.75, height 0.8. So the length 1.5. Does this make sense? Okay. The width 0.75, 0.75. Okay, I think I'm getting something wrong here. The height 0.8. Oh, actually I'm not. The height deceived me. Yeah, so I'm gonna apply the scale of this. And this is just gonna be here. Yeah, this is gonna be the teacher's desk. Fits nicely. So as I was saying now, I'm going to use this blockouts to plan my layout, okay? And I want you to plan your own layout too. Your building doesn't have to be like mine at all. Your classroom doesn't have to be like mine. If you want your cupboard to be here, fine. If you want it to be behind the class, fine. It's up to you, okay? You're the artist, so you have the creative freedom. So now I have this big classroom and I have just a tiny desk and chair here. I'm going to determine how many chairs and desks I want in the class. Okay. So let's assume this is a class that contains, let me just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20. So let's assume this class contains 15 students in my case. Okay. Now I can just bring this one to the center here. Just somewhere around here. Okay. Now Shift D, X, maybe just move it 1.5 to this side. Now Shift DX, maybe 3 to this side. Exactly. Now I'm going to make 3 rows, okay? 5 columns, okay? Now just select all the desks. Oopsie. Deselect that, deselect that. Shift DY, okay? Shift R to repeat the process. Shift R to repeat the process. Now, this look, everything looks perfect, okay? My in terms of scale, in terms of proportion, okay, everything looks really perfect. I like it, okay. I like it so far. So yeah, this is just a simple block out of our classroom. In the coming videos, we'll turn these block out meshes into their final 3D models, okay. We'll also model the window, model the door, and all that good stuff, okay. But for now, I think we are good. So see you in the next video, guys.